Well, what's described in Matthew 18 has been done by me and many other people. I took great pains to do things properly and to go to people privately, and then to kind of spread it out from there with the utmost discretion. When I did so, I was treated well. I was ignored. I was treated with contempt, and I was threatened. Um, I was accused of being like somebody who had just been excommunicated from the church just for asking questions about what was going on. And if you didn't blindly accept that, oh, this person's been excommunicated and you have to, delete them from your phone, you were immediately treated with the utmost suspicion. And you began to start being accused of all sorts of wonderful things. So at that point, I decided to put my tail between my legs, and through, I suppose, cowardice, not say anything else. Well, it's lovely if the gospel's being preached, but is the gospel being obeyed? The gospel commands us to expose evil. The gospel commands us to speak the truth. And what's happened has been brushed under the carpet. That's not obeying the gospel. That's hypocrisy. All of the abuse that took place. The current leaders of the church have admitted that there has been abuse after a very long time. Some of the leaders are saying that they were not aware of any of this abuse, which I know is a lie. Many other people know is a lie as well. They are making out that the reason why Kevin's ministry has come to an end is because he took his daughter to a pop concert. This is the very same thing that, I'll be honest, has said. I've been offered to be able to speak with Tim Conway, as if that was some sort of special prize you get for being abused by the leadership. I wasn't remotely interested. And yeah, that's all I and many other people have got from the current leadership is denial and refusal to admit publicly what had happened, and that's unacceptable. Well, so many people's lives have been really affected. Their trust issues have been really affected. I mean, me, for example. I was raised in very liberal circles. I never heard the gospel until I heard it from reform circles, and I went to Manchester, all the way from Hastings, and many other people came from abroad, and I really thought that, I found the truth, and that these were the people of God. And to then experience that corruption and abuse from the leadership, and so many other people just ignoring and going along with what happened, that has affected so many people. And so many people are living in shame and isolation when they should not be. So to say that, oh, it doesn't really matter if it's publicly, if the truth is the truth. And if something has been done wrong, especially by the leadership of the church, that must be said, because we are representatives of God on earth. Well, if they were blindly following him, first of all, some of them are saying they weren't aware of anything at all, which is not true. If they were blindly following him, they should admit that they did that, and that was what happened, and that was wrong. They're still holding the same name as the former church. Still the same group of people. It is the same church, yes, under different leadership. But that leadership needs to acknowledge what went wrong, and they need to acknowledge their part in it. they're saying that all of the excommunications and all the disciplines are now gone. That those people who have experienced that are now allowed to come back. That doesn't make any sense, because publicly, everyone in the church, as far as they're concerned, and everyone outside these people have been excommunicated. It's not fair. It's not clear. It's being done simply to make it look good and to cover it up, and with complete disregard of those who have been abused. I don't accept that at all. Well, I mean, in a sense, it's been a good few years, but it's haunted me. It's haunted me practically, going to new churches, where I've been open and honest about what happened, and I've been transparent because that's the kind of person I am, because I'm a Christian. Um, and with that, you are immediately treated with a level of mistrust because they don't know. Maybe, you are what Kevin Williams thinks you are. Not only practically, but also emotionally, up until this day. There have been times very recently where I've not been able to go to church because I've had panic attacks. Real, genuine panic attacks at home just about going to church because I'm so scared that things go wrong. I can't trust church leaders anymore. And thankfully, I've now found a church that accepts me and understands. I wouldn't tell anyone where that church was, but there are other people who haven't found that, and are so isolated and so alone, and they should not feel that way. It's wrong, and it needs to be made right. Well, there was a certain way that Kevin Williams operated, and many people followed in the way that he did act. He was incredibly controlling, even down to people's private lives, telling them, what they were allowed to do, who they were allowed to meet up with. He would publicly shame people in the service. I came to church once after doing a night shift, because I was actually in between two night shifts because I wanted to be there, and I did doze off in the service, and I woke up to Kevin shouting in my face. That is, I mean, he alienated people against each other. My friend Michael died of cancer, and he asked me to make sure that his wife was okay when he died. And Kevin Williams told me that I had threatened her and that I wasn't allowed to see her. There was no evidence for this whatsoever. When I said this wasn't the case, I was accused of lying. But all this came at a time when I was raising concerns about what had happened to other people in the church. And all of a sudden I found myself being targeted. This was how the church operated. Well, this is what Kevin Williams did to many, many people. And there was a culture of Kevin Williams decides something. He decides something is true, regardless of whether or not there is evidence. And everyone must agree and go along with what he has decided and what he thinks is true about any given situation. If they don't, they are in sin. That is the culture of the church. And the church, as it is now, has not admitted that happened. That is unacceptable. What certain leaders have said to me now is that they weren't aware of what's going on, and if that was so wrong, why are they pretending that is not happening? Why do they have to hide it? they can't be doing it for the sake of the gospel, because the gospel is truth, and the gospel commands us to obey it and to expose evil.